Good morning. It's Sunday, June 8th, 2025, and it's the Wall Street Weekly wrap up. Busy weekend. They had the Beer and Bourbon Fest in St. Louis, and it was excellent. So here we are on a Sunday. Let's take a look at the week because it was an exciting week. Oh, look at the next gen 2.82%. I don't know what Friday did, but I know Friday was an update. The portfolio, pretty good, compared to the S&P 500 and everything else. We're doing good, so that is a positive. Trump and Xi actually talked Friday, and that helped go in the mark. There's a big feud, and we'll talk about Elon and Trump feud. But again, a lot of people talking. Hey, that was a great May, and I'll take that off next time, someday. The next gen compared to everything else, it's above everything else. The small caps in the Russell 400, or not the Russell 400, S&P 400 is pretty bad. The S&P 500 is coming up, but we're doing better. That's good. Better is always good. Positive for the year is always good. We were at S&P 6,000. That was unheard of. We were at 5,000 not too long ago. Wow, what a run, huh? Live cattle, record high. So when you go to the store and there's paying 20 bucks a pound for a steak, that's where it's at. It's jagged. Oh my God, this is a heartburn. If you were betting futures, you better know what you're doing because you hit the wrong zig on the wrong day, you're down 20%. I mean, this is not good. The indicators, and we look at the week. The bond market. What is nice about the bond market? Nobody controls it. They don't want to bid on the bonds. Prices go up, and you got 9%, 10% mortgage like I used to have in the old days. Then you're going to start thinking about buying a house. You have to, it makes it harder and harder because the payments are going to be huge. Crude oil down to 60, which is good. It was up in the 62, 63 earlier this week. Natural gas, 345. Gold, solid, still 3,300. Remember 3,400, but look at the silver. It got up to $36 an ounce. This is wrong. I don't know why I don't have the right numbers, but I have to go talk to my assistant here. 3,600. I put the monthly chart because you got to go back to 2011. Look at that. That's right there. That's a big resistance level. Got up to 50. Could it get up to 50? Well, silver's used a lot. It could. I mean, if there's inflation, a lot of the metals go up. Copper's still strong. Remember, 450 is our number. We're doing good. Meta going to pay Constellation. We'll talk about that. They're going to do full AI generated ads. Okay, that could be doing. That could be good. We'll see. A lot of people got excited about that news. I was thinking, big deal. It's an ad. It's an ad. Am I going to make it that much better? One of the things that I've been watching is Reddit's monetizing their user base, which I thought for a chat board was really pretty unusual. But they're getting a lot of money. I mean, billions of dollars to let them train all the responses, all the stuff, all the issues, because they've already done all the the simple fact data sheets like Wikipedia and all these other research ones. So it's all compiled. We all have it in a palm of our terabytes, billion terabyte computers. So that's why I said the information's been commodity, but what's moving is the chats. So Meta, Facebook and Threads and Instagram. What's that monetization? It's got to be worth 3 times as much. This Meta value could have, you think about it, 200 billion in just the value of their data alone since they've been around for almost 16, 17 years. So again, Meta broke down a trend, and this is good, and it's been going up, and now everybody says, will it break the top? Could bounce off. I mean, it's good. It's positive. This is usually, like I said, I like buying the breakouts because that's what you get. When you have a downtrend, due to Liberation Day, then this is a good trend. If you're going to buy, buy on the breakout, and usually do good over time. DraftKings down sharply when Illinois, my state's going to put a 25-cent bet tax. I watch people bet 2 cents on stock, bets. How are you going to do that? They're going to make it have to be 50-cent minimum. And, that's going to be an issue. And, of course, Flutter out of England, we're not going to do anything. This is, we'll eat it. We make money. We'll eat it. And that's what Illinois is betting on. And, you know, I mean, Illinois, anything that makes a lot of money, they're going to say, Ube est mia, where is mine? Put the hand out. So, you know, so it's a tale of two cities. I like Flutter because it's the biggest in the world. So, you know, we're always going to go with the biggest and the best, and they both make money, but this isn't so bad. And plus, it's a foreign company, too, because, you know, we're trying to hedge away from the U.S. market because we think the stocks in the U.S. will underperform the world. United Health. Here's the new CEO. Who was the old CEO who came back? Remember, the new CEO, who was the old CEO, had tripled the stock value when he was running the company before. I think left in 2018. I'm turning the company with a fresh perspective. You know, he's got to watch this whole nonsense this last year. New initiatives, going to watch risk assessment coding, managed care, pharmacy services. Did it do anything? Not really. Remember, this thing has just dropped like a waterfall. I mean, this is just a cliff. You don't see too many straight waterfalls and then come down in another one. And we bought in the 200s, and it's, you know, floating around 330-ish, whatever it is. You know, there are people in shock at 521. You're like, I bought the largest healthcare system, and in January it was all right. It went down a little bit. In December we were at the highs at 600. It's a shock. These funds that own the stock have taken a beating. You know, it's one of our rebound plays. We'll see. Filter, the federal Franklin Templeton China Fund. Xi and Trump talk finally Friday. Finally, 6 months almost. You know, and China stocks have been going up. You know, again, Liberation Day wasn't good for them, so it tanked down, and we're coming up, and now we're getting close to a breakout. I think China's strong. I really do. I think they got a lot of things that everybody wants, including the rare earth magnets and everything else. You know, so it's going to be good.
This is a reminder. What's the S and P target?
Well, Alexa, stop. So if the S&P is running 6,000, everybody's asking, what's the target going to be? Well, our target originally was like 6,300, so, you know, 8-10%. Who knows? You know, we could have this tariff nonsense for next 2 years. I mean, nothing surprises me. We got one real agreement with UK, who we had a tariff surplus with. Got no China, no Japan, really Mexico and Canada technically still on hold. And so, you know, maybe as we get more and more of these tacos, you know, the people will start to ignore it and just start looking at the fundamentals. And that's why we have to look at every week we pick a sector and look at it, because we can see how the sector is doing compared to last year. That's important. Because otherwise, you know, you don't have a comparison number, then it doesn't matter. It's just yabbing about something that you don't have any context to. I made this video of the drones attacking Russian planes on the day after the Ukrainians actually used the drones to attack 41 planes and knock them out of service. I'm at 50,000 views, and I made this in 15 seconds with Gemini VO, the best text-to-app free one out there. Of course, they cap me. I can't get on there for, you know, it's like maybe a video every other day I can go on or something like that. And eventually, you know, I'm sure they, you know, and I'm on a paid Gemini service, so you think you get a little bit more, but this is really good. I mean, obviously, when, you know, 70,000 people are watching this video I made, that means a lot of people are entertained. And you could imagine if I was just 10 years old, sitting in my room, no job, and I could play this, I could make the Academy Award movie. That's what every 10-year-old kid could say. I can make this, I can do it for what I like and my friends like. You know, it could be Minecraft or something, or something else that's very popular. And they could do things that you would never believe, and then it'd be made by all AI that the kids could take, because they adapt to it real quick. Google, it's still on an uptrain. You know, remember, you know, Liberation Day, we went down to the bottom, bounced off the lower trend, and now we're going up. You know, a lot of people are thinking, man, is it going to go back up? That's the way it goes. But it's never smooth. You know, you know, we're going to get down and up and down. You know, like I said, it's I think Google's doing good. I mean, a lot of people want to beat it up. It's like a stock they like to beat up, but they're doing a lot well. And I mean, you know, I might put it number 3 for their Gemini, for, you know, OpenAI, and then Grok, and then Gemini. But you know, not bad. I mean, there's a lot. This whole area is still new. You know, I love it if we have multiple winners in AI. You know, everyone kind of picks a niche that they're really good at. AVGO, oh no, that's Broadcom. Avogadro's number. Do you remember that in mathematics? No. That's the stuff you put away. It was like a bad experience. Um, you know, here's the real issue. You know, Broadcom's a monster. Good in their area. Look at this, just jump up. It hit, broke through a big double top, if you want to call this a double top, or a big wide top, but came back down. People did not like the earnings. 20%. Remember, you know, it was running, you know, 40, 50%. Now it's moderate. You know, I think it's good. I mean, we had to sell it, you know, just to lighten tech up. You know, we keep our three kings, ARM, NVIDIA, and Taiwan Semiconductor. I would have, you know, the fourth one would have been Broadcom, but, you know, you got to make those tough calls. You got to make those tough calls. Lululemon, here's the stock. 90% growth every year. All this stuff from Cambodia, Bangladesh, China, all going to be tariffed, all going to be an issue. 7.3%, and this thing just dropped. Look at this. I mean, it's gonna. Does it go hit down to the low? Does it break through the low? Wow. You know, I'm just telling you. If I had a bet on retailers, I'm going to bet on Temu and Shein from China, selling the best products at a fifth of the cost. Maybe against even a Walmart, it's still half price. Amazon, maybe 50% less. Third of the price, 2/3 of the price. That's a tough, you know. Here, you know, Chinese aren't stupid. You know, if they get 10%, they can eat that. They're already doing. They're not going to put a 10% surcharge. They realize that they're just going to put the price up there, and it's still cheap with a tariff and send it, you know, for $2 shipping. That's tough to beat, and that's what you're going to have as people start to go through. I've kind of talked a long time about this, but I think those are tough ones to beat. Tesla, big feud. Elon Musk and Trump. First it started Elon taking on the budget, bloated, going after the people that voted for it. And, of course, the whole administration is going to attack Elon. And, you know, like Trump says, oh, yeah, the best way to save billions of dollars and get rid of everything Elon has for government subsidies and contracts. Well, who's he going to put up there to get the stuff up there like the satellites? JetBlue? They're not really doing it. Well, no, not JetBlue, Blue Origin. But I don't think so. But the stock, they know this could be 18 months of pain if they don't settle this thing. So it dropped a lot. You know, you go from over 360 down to 250. That's a hell of a hard hit. You know, it's in both interests to settle it because they're not going to help. I mean, you don't want the world's richest guy coming in the 2026 election going to spend millions, billions of dollars to beat your party. You don't want that. They're not that stupid. Because, you know, it's a fine line where you can make people go. You can start advertising, you put social media. He's got, what, how many millions watching him on social media? I don't know. I mean, look at this. You just, what, 100, 49,000 likes? Is that what that means? 1,400 likes? You know, it's not big. He's got a bigger army, so I don't know. But it's not good. It's in his company's interest. It's in his interest to shut up and just stick to the budget, maybe, and said your piece. I'm going to go into OpenAI because I like some of the data that Mary Meeker did, and you know, talking about someone who's been around as long as I have in tech. You know, she was out there in 2000 talking about what's happening, and you know, pretty controversial back then. But look at the users of OpenAI. It's parabolic, you know, 400 million, 800 million subscribers paying. That means they're paying. 20 million people paying. Almost 4 billion in revenue. How much is it worth? I don't know. They said 300 billion. I don't know. Put it on the market. I'm going to buy some because it's still number one. It's tough to beat. And we just look at GPT, you know, 4.0, which is using the Grace Hopper chips, you know. We can do essays, poems, coding, PDF, be your thinking partner, automate repetitive work, you know, offer therapy. I don't know. I haven't talked about it. Most people can't, you know, most people say, no, go see a psychiatrist. Most AI systems say, no, you don't need us. But there'll be a day. And what are they going to be able to do? Well, simulate the human mind, anticipate your questions, manage your finances. Okay, John, give me the income today. Oh, I got it already. Here it is. Be talking to the payroll people of the company. Hey, by the way, you didn't send me the check from the law firm, and when are you going to do this? I could see this happening. Being out there, it's like,
This is a reminder. What does the Trump feud with Elon do to the market period?
Alexa, stop. What does it do? It drags Tesla down. And when Tesla gets dragged down, a lot of other companies in sympathy will go down. It also shows that if a president is going to get vindictive to a company for a post, that could be pretty scary. It means you're a CEO, you're going to like stay under the radar. I don't want to put anything out there that would tick the president off, and now I'm getting attacked publicly. And might have the whole. I mean, you're talking about taking the contracts away. That's pretty vindictive. A month ago, yeah, we're buddies. Next month, not good. I mean, it's not good. Medical. Wow. Hey, I got these bites all over my eggs. Let's show a picture of it. Yeah, it looks like you got, bed bugs at your hotel. Well, that's good. I mean, that's going to be an issue, right? I mean, the photos are going to get better. It's going to be able to look at it. Go in there, run your stats, because you've given them the stats for your, heart rate and breathing rate and pulse and blood oxygen, everything. I mean, and of course, it could start doing the budget. Here's the budget. How much you want to save? You want to save the balanced budget? Here it is. This is the best way to do it. Pretty intimidating stuff. Energy again, Constellation, the data centers. Look at this stuff. Hyperscalers are going to use half the energy almost. Half. That's our big hyperscaler. Meta, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. And the servers are going to consume a lot of energy. So that's why they're looking at it. It's going to be, it's not whether we can get the data center and can we run the electricity with it without blacking out the whole grid in our area. That's a big deal. And Illinois, of course, has 6 nuke plants. We got Clinton, Quad Cities, Byron, Braidwood, and Zion's gone, so 5. In LaSalle, we could supply a lot of data centers. This area is one of the top 5 data center clusters, as I call them, in the area. So when you have a huge amount of data center clusters, you're going to get a lot of high-tech companies eventually starting to come in because, you can't zoom the data to China. You get access, but if you want real-time inference, real-time things that are happening, you need to be near the data centers. So Constellation, you're going to go to the Clinton plant in Illinois, and the market kind of likes the news. Shot it up, and then of course they get back to reality. But this is a double top. It kind of broke through here. This is the stock of you get ulcers over. I mean, it jumps up, jumps down. Look, gap up, gap down, gap up, gap down. Drop like a waterfall here. Drop like a waterfall here, and then shoot up like a rocket and then drop. Wow. Try to time that stock, you're not going to do it. There's no way you can time a stock like this. But that's what you have to look at. That's why we got Southern, and that's why we got NextEra. All of these energy companies are going to do good. All of them. You don't have to pick constantly. All of them are going to do, because everybody's going to need power. Everybody's going to want a data center in their state, or 2, or 10, or 15. Nucor, the 50% tariffs on aluminum and steel. Going to help Nucor. Look at the stock pop on that thing. Out of the trend. That's good. That's a good time to start thinking about buying Nucor. So you're going to get into it. The downside is users like Ford. Now what are they going to do? They're going to pay more for the steel. So that's the downside. I mean, it doesn't solve everything. So that's why these tariffs are tough, to juggle and go through it. And again, this is the thing for AI. Calculate the mathematical formula to benefit steel companies like Nucor, USX, and not kill the auto companies. They could run through iteration after iteration, billions of iterations, and come up with a very model. Ethereum. Okay, man, I tell you, I was in here. We've been in Ethereum a long time. Down at 1,500, down at 800, and kind of riding along, and then it shot up to 2,500, and people are like, well, why isn't it going up more to 4,000? Because Bitcoin set a record, and it's at 2,500, and it's not at 4,000, which was the record. Patience, Podway. It's gonna go up. It's probably the second after Bitcoin. I mean, if I had to pick one, I think it's gonna be good. So, you think about it. You go from 2,500 to 4,000. That's gonna be a big jump. 60% jump. How would you not want to be in some Ethereum? You got to have some Ethereum. And then we look at the industrials. I hate to say it, I really like this color coding. Who's getting beat up in the manufacturing sector? Tesla, no surprise. John Deere, as everybody sits there and says, maybe we'll keep what we got until the economy gets better on the stuff. Rivian, which is surprising, but it's, up and down. Rivian, we've been in and out. And all the subsidies are gone, so I'm reluctant to get anything that's EV because we don't have the subsidy. You're not getting $7,000, so it's going to be on its own for the next at least 18 months. What's doing good? 3M. Well, we got the lawsuit issues, and I don't know if they're all resolved. Boeing, if they make the deals with China, that's going to be an issue, So a lot of hope on Boeing, and all the other ones here where we had Hormel, slight increase from the year before, more defensive, and like I said, been moving sideways, which is fine. It pays there's a dividend. I mean, it's not, it's got, everybody thinks, oh, spam is not going to be. I said it's more than spam. They got bacon, they got turkey, they got a lot of stuff. So you got to eat, and I think a lot of people, like I said, if steaks go up to $20 a pound, maybe a little canned meat and deli meat might not be so bad, because it's going to be cheaper. So our defensive play, people say, why don't you have more? I says, well, because I think that when we go back, look at a lot of pinks, purples, and reds are negatives, and it outweighs. I mean, we got one defense, Toyota, GM, Volkswagen, Honda, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, Eaton. That's it. The rest of them are all fairly negative for the quarter report. So a lot of them are in the automobile industry, which says they're buying before the tariffs took. Now, will they be good the next quarter? That'll be what I think is going to be worse. I think a lot of these greens will go to reds because they pulled through the sales for the tariffs. Now let's look at the heat map. Oh wow, what a week! Except if you own Tesla, look at that big red one. 14% down, but Microsoft up 2%, Nvidia up 4%, J.P. Morgan up 0.6%, Meta up 7%, Eli Lilly finally 0.4% up, ExxonMobil up. So our big stocks did real well. Walmart's really about the only ones of the big ones we have that were lagging, which is not bad. So the utilities took overall hit. Southern's down and NextEra's up. So go figure that. But overall, good week. We did good, and we want to make sure that we're in the best of the best and go through it. I mean, I'm surprised Palantir's finally taking a breather.
This is a reminder. Do you think a war between China and Taiwan is going to happen in the next year?
Alexa, stop. No. I don't think China wants to push it. I mean, because if we're out of all of Ukraine, we got all the muscles to push on China. We're not in really any major war now. I mean, you could put everything to fight the issues, and would we fight? I guess so. And like I said, what does China get? A bombed out Taiwan? Is that what they really want? I mean, and then isolation. I mean, this is not good. They'd have to import fuel, and it just could be ugly. I don't. There's no math in it. Why would you just, eventually either China and Taiwan will reunite, and it might be 10 years, might be 50 years, but it'll happen. I mean, it's they're not too different. They really aren't. They have a lot of the same goals. It's just that the style of management of the government is a little bit different. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. All right, we'll see you next week. We sold Summit and Olaplex. These were two of our bounce back plays. They hit a small little loss, and we just got out of them. So see you next week. Have a good week, and stay safe.